Welcome to the Face Your Grace podcast, where women with ideas become entrepreneurs. I'm Kate Nowlan.
I'm Kimberly Caccavo, and today we're joined by Lisa Odenweller. Lisa is a serial entrepreneur and has such great information to share with us on all levels of starting your business. She's done a side hustle, she's done a small business, and now she's creating a functional food empire. So we have so many great things. We're going to begin with a few fun questions though. Okay, Lisa, what's your greatest strength?
I asked my family and I asked my friends and my team to see, and every one of them said resilience. Which I think is just such that ability to get up again, no matter how much it's hard and it's not going your way, and you just keep picking up the pieces and nothing's going to stop you, right? And you have to have resilience as an entrepreneur.
Absolutely, and as a woman. And especially as a woman entrepreneur, right?
Especially as a female entrepreneur.
As a female entrepreneur in COVID. We're going to hear more later about what you've done during COVID, which is amazing. Okay, biggest accomplishment.
I think my biggest accomplishment, it's more of a big story, which is over the last 10 years, I've started 3 wellness companies as a single mom with 3 kids. My first company in wellness, it was actually my 5th company, but my first company in wellness, I was going through divorce. My kids were little. I didn't have a dollar to my name. And I literally had my kids labeling bottles. It was a juice company, a wellness company, Beaming. And I had to move employees into my home so that because I couldn't afford to pay them. So they moved into my kids' rooms, my kids moved into my room. Wow. And we did everything just as scrappy as we could to bring Beaming to life.
That's awesome.
And
they lived with you?
The employees lived with me, my executive team, right, that I couldn't afford to pay. I just kind of covered their costs. Mm-hmm. We were raising money. We opened our first cafe in Del Mar, built that to 10 locations, built it to a $15 million company before I sold it, and kind of, actually, let me start with that one. So we built it to 10 locations and really built this incredible company, but it started in my home with literally going through the deepest, darkest pain of divorce at the same time. So I'm really proud of that. And I'm also then kind of going fast forward, now having started another 2 wellness companies, still as a single mom,
right.
Have gone through the undulations of the win, the loss, the win, the loss, starting all over, losing everything financially, and still getting back up. So I guess it goes back to the resilience moment. But still just having that really strong why that's never stopped me. And within all of that, you're still a mom. You're still showing up for your kids. And being able to do that in the midst of everything else, in the highs and the lows, I probably would say is I'm most proud of.
Yeah. Amazing.
Being there for your kids, that's amazing.
Yeah, and it's not always perfect,
Yeah, no.
and especially when you're building a business, you're not going to be the perfect parent. You're not going to be there at every sports game. I'd love to say that I was, but I couldn't be, right? And it's the balance of also having forgiveness for yourself, that you show up as best as you can, give them undivided attention, 15 minutes a day, whatever that gift is, to know that they know that you're there while you're trying to do everything else, and help them feel like they're part of it, so that they also really believe in you too.
And what a great example for them. I mean, that they were able to grow up seeing that in their mother, and hopefully setting the stage for what they're gonna, go out into the world and do, and know that you can make it happen, but you also have to sacrifice in order to do that, which I think 100%. So often kids need to learn that, and often learn it the hard way. Absolutely.
Yes, so true. And actually, one more thing I'm proud of is that my daughter is one of my business partners who started my first company when she was 13 with me.
I love it.
At 13 years old, working in the cafe, left, did homeschooling for high school, her choice, not mine. Came to LA with me, helped me open all the cafes there, has stayed with me through each of those ventures. And now she's very involved with the new company, Kroma. She is running customer service right now. She will run our ambassador program. And so now she's 23. So over the last 10 years, she's been side by side with me creating, which has been pretty incredible.
What a great experience for both of you.
It's been cool. Yeah.
Okay, so one other question that we have, that these are sort of we call them fun questions, but maybe the answers aren't always as fun. But we were curious if you could share one thing that no one knows about you, but you're finally confident in this moment to share it.
Yeah, so I love this question. It's a hard question. And I thought about really kind of the rawness, right? How can I really share a story that is something that I think maybe a lot of people would be able to relate to? So The story that people don't know is I built this beautiful company called Beaming.
Which, by the way, let me just interrupt you. Kimberly and I were huge fans of Beaming.
Huge. We did a lot of work there. We do meetings.
We would, and we would also. I mean, we loved the products that you produced. So congratulations on that.
Thank you so much. And it was a beautiful brand. It changed so many lives. It really inspired so many people. It was one of the most popular brands probably in the country. We built it to 10 locations, mostly in LA, but also here in San Diego where we're based.
Can we get some insight as to what Beaming, what it was? Maybe give a little background.
Yeah. So Beaming are superfood cafes, like healthy grab and go. And we really elevated the experience of like making healthy taste amazing, speaking to a broader audience so that kids wanted to come, older people wanted to come, not just the healthy people, but everybody else. And it worked. And it really kind of created this cult following. So this beautiful brand was created. People were obsessed. It was cult followed. People would stop me on the street. Everyone was like, oh my God, you're the founder of Beaming. Like, can I tell you my story?
Right.
And my heart would be full. I made some mistakes. I didn't have the right business partners. I didn't have the right board. I had never built a board before. I had to learn some hard lessons with that. And I also didn't have a business partner who was really good at what I'm not good at, like operations and finance.
Right.
I'm really good at being a visionary and brand proliferation and all the other things, but I didn't have a business partner. And in the end, I ended up losing my company. And that's not something I've talked openly about, but it was the most difficult thing I've ever been in my life. Like way worse than divorce, because Beaming was my everything. I'd poured my heart and soul, every little dollar I had out of my divorce, I put into this company. It was changing lives. And I was surrounded by people who didn't understand the brand and didn't understand me.
Right.
And eventually I was basically pushed out.
Oh.
And I did everything in my power to fight for this brand, fight for what we were doing and the good we were doing in the world. And in the end, I wasn't successful at getting it. And so I think the story or the rawness with that was of course the loss was real, but I also hit bottom, and I hit that point of like, now what? Like I didn't have a dollar to my name. I've just lost this beautiful brand. Everyone thinks it's this amazing thing. And I'm sitting over here just on the floor in tears. Oh. I had to go through how did I get here? And how do I never end up here again? Right. And going through like, do I go get a job? Like, do I consult? Do you start another company? And it took me a good 3 years really to rebuild myself and going through the questions of like, maybe I'm not good enough. Like maybe I'm a one-hit wonder. Like literally these thoughts that you have. And I think it's such an important conversation. And one of the reasons I felt compelled to share it, because every one of us at some point has a massive loss, right? And it could be in a relationship, through your divorce, losing a job, losing your company, like whatever that might be. We all have many of those in our lives. And those points that we also lose all faith in ourselves. Right? No matter how confident you are, like there are moments where you're going to have your self-doubt and wonder if you really have what it takes.
Right.
And I had that. And it took me 3 years to get me back.
What was the pivotal thing that got you back on track?
Part of it was time, I have to say. I mean, I really committed to doing the work. And I think something that's really important with that is I really had to learn the accountability of how did I get here? And how do I make sure I never get here again? Because if I blame others and I'm pointing fingers, then I can't really heal. Right. And I can't come back strong and empowered. And it was one of those things where it took the time, I had to go through the healing to come out on the other side so that I could even turn the creative on again. It's like, I've been a creative my whole life. I've like create companies. I do this, I do that. It's like, I have an idea, I make it happen. I couldn't. Like I literally was frozen. And I think, and I hope that in sharing that story, it was like, it's also part of the journey. Right? Of like hitting that bottom, going into the darkness of it, whatever that looks like, just depending on the situation, and then allowing yourself to like kind of feel and surrender so you can come out the other side. Right?
Well, and that's so much about what the ethos of our first company together, Graced by Grit, was about how you have these really gritty moments in your life that in those moments, it's how you figure out to define yourself that's what becomes your grace, right? And so
true.
There's no formula necessarily to accomplishing that and to finding the grace. It's in the doing that you discover it. And for each person, it is so incredibly difficult. But I think you touched on some things that were really valuable, especially for people that are listening that are considering entrepreneurship for themselves, where it's not always easy and things don't always turn out the way you think they're going to, right? Like maybe your vision was nothing close to that, right? And you wanted so badly for this to be your company forever and for you to be leading the charge.
My everything. Yeah.
And then you brought on people that didn't understand that you didn't mesh well with, you didn't have maybe that complementary partner. And we talk a lot about that with partnership.
It's everything.
You know, is that something that you need? Do you do it alone? And I think for everyone, that's a different answer. But I think knowing how to look back and go, okay, well, these were the things that I would never make those mistakes again, right? Yeah. And you stay true to that so that you can move forward. And once you sort of discover those things, I do feel like things start to unfold, right? Yeah. Where you're like, oh, that's the light bulb. That's the piece now that I needed to learn from that. And so, you know, it's interesting because it leads into our next question, which is really what led you to become an entrepreneur. Because
the first time.
Yeah, like what was company that said, okay, wait, I can actually do this. I can have an idea and make it happen. Like what led you there?
So I think it's in my DNA. I'm going to start with that. Like it literally is in my DNA. I can't help myself. It's just, it's how I think. I see white space. I see opportunity. It's like, well, that seems so obvious. Like, shouldn't that exist? And I guess I'll go create it. Like, and usually it starts, you know, with something that maybe you need for yourself,
right?
And you can't find it, whether,
Absolutely.
and then that leads to the aha moment.
Right.
For me, I think, you know, even when I was in corporate America, because I worked for Nestle and I worked for Oracle, I did lots of things before I started creating my own companies. I always found the niche within the big company of like my own little entrepreneurial endeavor within those companies. So again, it's always been in me as it relates to kind of where I am today and these last wellness companies I've created. Because I've had a jewelry company, I've had an interior design company, I've like done a lot of things.
Done a lot.
But the thing that was always in my like soul, like I would wake up and I'm like, I'm supposed to do something bigger. I'm supposed to have a bigger impact in the world. And I didn't know what it was going to be. So I dabbled in all these other things that kind of led me. And what led me to really the wellness story of where I've kind of committed my life work, if you will, is really this concept around food as medicine and helping people experience and understand how much power we have over our health. And it really starts with what you eat and drink. Right. And so if it was through my own personal transformation, through my family's transformation, as we were going through kind of our own kind of health challenges, if you will. And my daughter was on ADD medication, I think starting at 9. And this is before I understood wellness like I do now. But she, up until 11 or 12, was on medication and I hated it. And I was like, what else can I do? Like, I don't like the fact that our first go-to is medication.
Right.
That medication was causing mood disorders. So then all of a sudden she's taking mood disorder medication.
Oh my gosh.
That's making her catatonic. She's not even like human. There's like no life to her. And I was like, that's it. There has to be something else. Well, the beauty of that story is there is something else, food. Because the biggest inflammatory trigger of the brain is food. And we realized that, you know, sugar, wheat, dairy, gluten, processed foods, etc., especially if you already are sensitive to it, will cause inflammation in the brain. As soon as we removed those things, she transformed, went off medication, was in honors classes, everything changed.
Love that.
So for me, right?
That was the why that said, I have to do something with this. And I have to tell the world in a way that is going to make a difference. I can write a book, I can write blogs, but really the way that we learn is through experience.
Absolutely.
And so I dove in, and the same is for Beaming as it is for my new company, Kroma Wellness. I dove into understanding food as medicine. I went to nutrition school. I got in the kitchen. I tried everything I possibly could, traveled the country, tried juice cleanses, tried food cleanse, like everything I could to understand food as medicine. And then decided I would make it for other people, make it taste amazing, make it like help you feel amazing. with the idea that if I can make it taste so good and feel you good that you would want it all the time and it would wake you up.
Oh, we did too. We would go over and meet there. Those coconut wraps, I love.
It was so good. It was the best food. It was amazing. I really am so proud of what we created, and I love hearing that. And I still get to hear it. And the cookie and the banana bread and all the things.
Oh, yeah.
And I still got that in me. But that same like vision is like, how do we make a healthy taste so amazing? How do we make it approachable? Like really make it so it fits into your life, that we can really have that transformation. And so I didn't go to nutrition school. Well, I went to nutrition school, but I didn't go to any kind of like MBA school. I've never worked in a restaurant before. I didn't have any of the skills to do it.
Right.
Like I just had that, like, I can't not do it.
Right.
And note to women, that's a really important part that we talk about too, that you might not have the skills. That doesn't mean that you can't start a business.
Exactly.
And you can surround yourself with people, or you can gather information, especially with the way technology is today, where you can learn so much about things.
Today, you sound like such an old lady.
Wow.
Technology today. Okay. and
But you know what I mean.
I do.
But that is such an important thing though,
www.google.
like, because it's like so many people told me, but you don't have this and you don't have that and you don't have this. And that's the thing in like, as an entrepreneur, like, like I don't like stay on your course. Stay in that why, right? Because of course there's a million things you don't know how to do. Like I didn't know how to raise money. I didn't know how to put a business plan together. Like I didn't know how to do any of it. You just figure it out. You ask questions. You go to people that know a lot more than you do. You find people that know a lot more than you do. And then you just put one step in front of the other.
And so in taking those steps, one in front of the other, what was your favorite part?
My favorite part, honestly, is the creation. So it's two things. I love the creating. I love the like, what would we create if? And the idea unfolds, right? Like it may start with one idea, but like it kind of just blossoms and being open to that blossoming of possibility. So I would say almost my favorite stage of entrepreneurship is that creation stage. It's also like the most unknown of like, oh, like now what do I do? And like, how do I do this? And it's the part that I think most people get stick.
Right.
They get stuck there because it's scary, right? And you're trying to figure it out, but I love the chess game of that.
Yes.
So I think that's probably my most favorite. And then I really love telling the world. Like, because I'm so passionate about it. So for me, it's like, it's a divine energy for me. Like I have no choice but to like get people excited that like, hey, this is transformative. This can do this. And so that energy fuels me, and it's probably what I'm best at too.
So the business that you've raised $5 million in capital for now, tell us about that. Give us the whole name because I don't want to screw it up. So give us the name. How do people find it? Give us all that information.
So I launched a new wellness company called Kroma Wellness 3 weeks ago. Brand new, been working on it for 3 years.
I'm one of the first customers.
So yeah, because you got the cookie butter, right?
That's right.
So when we went like a year ago, right before I had raised $1, right? And it was in COVID, just handing out tasters, like we were making it home, right? Because it does start that simply. Like I think that's an important thing for people to realize. Like my daughter's making this stuff at home. I'm in the kitchen blending little things. And what's really, really cool. So 3 years in the making, launched 3 weeks ago. Everything's functional nutrition, right? It's sort of what Beaming was, but Beaming was cafes. Like it was perishable. Like only the people that could get to Beaming could have it. I always wanted to reach people everywhere. How can we touch more lives? How can we create all the good of Beaming, but do it in a way that can reach a bigger audience, can be shipped anywhere, that can throw it in your purse, that like has the convenience, right? Because that's what we also want, right? We're already overwhelmed. We already have too much going on. Like I'm like, I created again the foods that and products that I needed for me because I don't have time to think about it,
right?
You know, and so I know I'm not alone. And so we got in the kitchen and we really created. It's crazy, actually. We launched with 22 products, which I will say I don't recommend.
A lot. That's
Most people start with 1 or 2 or 3 SKUs.
But with
I
your
do
background,
recommend that.
you knew also a lot more than maybe the average person on this particular topic, right?
Well, and it was a necessary piece of the puzzle.
Okay.
And so I would say for anyone starting a business, I would like also say like you don't have to start that big.
Right.
Sometimes 1 SKU is enough, right? Like
Absolutely.
Athletic Greens is wildly successful with their really main SKU, right? We started with 22 because I went back to the roots of what made Beaming so successful. And it was with a 5-day wellness program. Beaming started with a superfood cleanse. It was when people were juice fasting. I wanted to teach people about food, and I created a lifestyle program. I used that same thesis with Kroma. So we've launched the first fully functional whole body reset program. It's 5 days. It's about nourishment over starvation. It's about fueling your body with delicious foods, but it's and beverages that fit into your daily life, right? And like it's literally as simple as like just add water, right? And it turns into the perfect latte or the perfect broth or the cookie butter or this beautiful porridge. Or so it's this very all-inclusive 5-day program. It's really about focusing on like helping. You want the results, right? So we all want the quick fix. We want the quick reset. We want the weight loss. We want to feel better fast. We want to look better fast. We want all the check marks, right? We also care about our health and longevity, and now more than ever, immunity. So it's this program that really sets you up for long-term success. I saw in the market that there are other kind of 5-day programs, if you call it, but the question that I feel was answered well is what happens after? So you did the program, you feel better, you lost your weight, now what?
Right.
And so what we did, and the reason why there's 22 products is because that 22 products are on the 5-day program. You get to experience them. You kind of change the habits and behavior. You don't kind of, you actually do.
Right.
You want the products all the time, and then you have the tools to succeed in your daily life. So that's really the kind of storyline of Kroma. It's absolutely been an incredible, journey to create because I've been in the business now for 14 years. I've watched all the different things. I've seen what works, what doesn't work. And part of raising money for this new company was we created a beta wellness program. Right. So we created our 5-day program. We made it in the home, packed it up ourselves and, basically sent it out to people. They had the experience, they loved the program, and they ended up investing.
Right.
So with that, I will say, and we can dive into more, we can tell me how far you want to go, but like we're 90% funded by women.
Love that.
Which is so rad. And something I'm so proud
rare,
of.
by the
so
way, because
rare.
it is. It's tough to find female investors. And
100%.
Good on you.
And to go on that, like play on that for a second, because it really took, so my first investor was not a woman. It was Dick Costello from Twitter, the former CEO of Twitter. Then it was John Callahan from True Ventures, who's also was involved with Peloton and other really great brands. Brian Meehan from Blue Bottle Coffee. So my actually first 3 investors were men.
Right.
And I've got a lot of great men involved. Really, really, really influential, powerful men that like jump in there right there with me. So I do want to acknowledge that. But then the first woman was Jenny Lefcourt. She's actually the creator of Wedding Channel. And she's an incredible entrepreneur herself. She's also an investor. She started to tell her friends. Those friends told those friends. And the next thing you know, I'm waking up to an email from Gwyneth Paltrow one morning that says, Lisa, I heard about your new business. Tell me more.
Oh my God, I got the chills just thinking about that for you.
So, and it was, that was one of those moments where you're like, oh my God, right? Like, and she had loved my last brand, Beaming.
Right.
And, really kind of reached out to me. She had heard through this group of women that had jumped in to support. And it really kept growing from there. And what became so beautiful about the women piece, even though it didn't start with women, is that it became exactly what we hoped for with women. It was women supporting women, gathering around each other, championing, telling their friends. And that's really how we look to building the company, right? Like it's more of a female-based, focused company.
Absolutely.
Love it.
So to have that many women evangelists who are telling their friends and want to be supportive, and at any one of these investors I could call, which I do often, I talked to 4 of them yesterday, and be like, hey, I'm thinking about this. What do you think about that? I'm struggling with this. I do send monthly updates to everyone. I have, very clear updates and I have very clear asks. Right. Nice. So I've also
know how to manage those relationships.
Learned, how do I make sure that these incredible investors we have are working with us because they want to.
Right. I love that. So on that, what do you know now that you wish you would have known then? Then could be
the first business. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
I think we've touched on part of it, but different aspects of it. But I think there's just like trusting the process. And you hit on it before. Most things are not going to go your way. I'm so sorry. They're really not. Yeah. And so, yes, there's the resilience to get through it, but there's also the belief that, okay, not this, but maybe that maybe something better awaits. I have a great story if I can share it, because I think it's like zeroes in on that, coming off the conversation around investors. We were in COVID last year. Can you imagine the day we were going to start raising money, the world shut down. So there's no way I can I'm so excited. I've been building this thing. I'm ready to go tell the world. And no way are you going to call people and say, can you give me money? Well, we're trying to figure out how to get toilet paper. right?
Right.
People are trying to figure out what's happening in their bank accounts. So there was a good 3 months where I couldn't ask for money. Meanwhile, my bank account was depleting. I like emptied my 401k. The clock is ticking. I'm like, this is a problem.
Right.
We get introduced to this billionaire investor. He embraces us. It changes his life. He loses 14 pounds. He promises the world we're going to do all these great things. And basically kind of says, I'm going to fund the full thing. Like cries to me, gives me the whole thing. The day he's supposed to fund, he disappears and I never hear from him again.
No way.
Now we've wasted 4 months with this man thinking that he's going to show up
He's
for
not
us.
like on a desert island.
No.
And we're going to read about him.
He's
right?
just fine.
Okay.
No, never heard from him again. And so, well, I have since, like, that's a funny story, but so that happened. Now that brought me to my knees.
Right.
That was like, wait, people do this? Like, no, it's like, this is not even possible. And it was picking myself back up on the ground going, oh my God, we're starting all over. And again, the clock's ticking and I'm trying to launch this company. And the part that I love about this story is, had he shown up, none of these other incredible investors would have come. Right. Gwyneth Paltrow, Amy Schumer, Jessica Seinfeld, Greg Renfrew, all these other people would not be
the blessing in it
the
all,
investors behind us. And it was one of those, again, reminders, like, if it doesn't work out the way that you think or hope or you're forcing, trust that there might be a better something coming your way.
Absolutely. Well, and I'm a big believer that every challenge creates an opportunity, right?
100%.
And so I think when you start to have that mindset, and I think that takes the resilience piece of knowing how to pick yourself back up, certainly, but that when you have these challenges, it's not end all be all and this is just over and dead in the water. It's like, okay, now how do I pivot? What is that next step then? What is the opportunity within this moment that I maybe didn't see because I was so busy in that moment?
And I think on that one too, I think it's an important thing for entrepreneurs to really remember, because there's going to be so many of those.
Right.
There are so many moments where you're like, really? Like, maybe I'm not supposed to do this. And because it's so hard. And that's where it's like, do you have what it takes to break through those moments of resilience or resistance, I should say, when things aren't going your way, right?
So what is the one thing you do to break through that? Do you have...
It's a great question.
That is a great question. I don't know if it's a one thing. I think you just you get back up. Again, I connect to my why. I'm like, no, this is going to happen.
Right.
Like I'm gonna figure it out. Right. And you keep going. And I mean, when that happened, I mean, I had many, 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 many more no's before I had yeses. And then I had a couple yeses and I got the first checks, and then I had many, 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 many more no's. And that's the other thing too, is like, it's like, I can't even imagine being an actress or an actor.
Oh yeah.
Where you are being just denied left and left and right. And so to get back up and say, nope, like I still believe in what I'm doing. I still know that the world needs us, and to keep going is what it takes, right? And there's so many things. I mean, even just now that we've launched, okay, so I raised $5.5 million. We've had this huge accomplishment. We had a great article in Forbes. You know, everything is so exciting. And then the business has to be run.
Absolutely.
And a million things are going wrong. And the website has this problem and that's problem. Like all the real stuff, right? And then you kind of get like, oh God, really?
Right.
And so now we got to figure that out and bring on the team. And so we're in a new phase of challenges. And there's moments where I'm like, really, did I really do this again? You know, but that's also like part of the magic, because when we keep moving through and we keep having those wins and we keep having this success, like that's why an entrepreneur is like, it's a very special person to get through each one of those. But like, it's such a rewarding place
so
too.
fun.
Yeah.
It is fun. It is fun. And
especially
it is
when
hard.
you can work with people that you love, like you guys have gotten to.
Absolutely.
That's everything.
Yeah. It absolutely is.
Yeah.
Okay, so with all this, what out of everything do you think is the grace that you've been given through this, or you've given yourself?
I mean, I think grace is really, I mean, it's living, when we really own it, it's like truly living in gratitude.
Right.
Right? And so it's when things aren't going your way, just like, and being able to, and again, I have not mastered this, right? But that grace that can come when we can find peace through the challenges.
Right.
We can find and trust that there's whatever your connection is, bigger energy, whatever it might be, divine source, whatever that is, that this is all part of the journey.
Right.
And when we can be in gratitude, I mean, it could be as simple as sitting in traffic and just being in gratitude that like I get to be here, I can play a podcast. Like it's being able to see the positive when things are not positive that I think we find true grace.
Thank you so much, Lisa, for joining us today at the Face Your Grace podcast. Tell all of these listeners where they can find Kroma Wellness.
KromaWellness.com. It's with a K, so Kroma wellness.com. And thank you for having me. This was so much fun.
It was great.
I loved sharing some stories that I haven't gotten to share, and I hope that those can be inspirational to others as well, because I think that we all get to go through experiences that we can really help others navigate through some of their experiences.
Absolutely.
Yes.
And that's what it's really all about.
It is. And you know what we love about it is women helping women. Together, 100%. We can do this, right?
Yeah,
absolutely. So thank you for all of you that were listening to the Face Your Grace podcast. If you're listening through Spotify, make sure that you subscribe. If you're interested in watching this interview with Lisa, you can go to YouTube and you can search the Face Your Grace podcast. Make sure that you give us a like and subscribe to our channel on there as well. And we are so grateful to have you share your story. We appreciate the vulnerability that you shared today and all of the incredible insights that you had. We are definitely having you back to talk all things business and entrepreneurship. And in the meantime, thank you for listening and have a wonderful day.
Face Your Grace, where women with ideas become entrepreneurs.
Good life, good